Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a Titanfall 2 gameplay video for you, and I've got lots of information about the game because I was fortunate enough to sit down and play it for about an hour and a half yesterday. So I'm going to be talking a lot about all the changes they've made to the game, good, bad, and ugly. Unfortunately, I can't show all of the Titanfall 2 gameplay up front in this video. I have a limit on how I can use the B-roll footage, so I'm going to have to mix it up with Titanfall 1 clips as well, but there's about 2.5 minutes of actual multiplayer gameplay in this video. Also, as per FTC requirements, you should know that EA paid for my E3 hotels for this event. That is a required disclosure, and they flew me out here specifically so that I could play Titanfall and make this video. What I'm going to do in this video is talk about the things that I like about Titanfall 2, the things that they've changed, because a lot has changed, and then near the end of the video I've got a section of criticism and complaints, and don't worry, there's going to be plenty of both. The Titanfall 2 team seems to have taken community feedback very seriously because they fixed a lot of the obvious or more vocal issues about the first game, but left some other big issues, which was a little bit confusing to me. The first thing you're going to notice right off the bat when you play the game is that jump speed and jump height are significantly reduced. The game doesn't feel nearly as jumpy as Titanfall 1 did. You don't go as high, you don't boost up as fast, you can't control yourself in air as much, there's a lot more momentum to it, slight delays. It feels very weighted was the word that a lot of the commentators said. It felt like you were actually a lot heavier than you were in Titanfall 1, so you can't quite bounce around and do that ultimate insane over-the-top parkouring that you could in the original game. But you can use a grappling hook for extra mobility. You've probably seen that in the gameplay trailers by now, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it's dope. The grappling hook is probably the most fun part about the game for me. I just really like the way that plays. It works a lot like the Exo Grapple in Advanced Warfare, but just somewhat less crazy. And it's a really good mechanic for this game, actually. One tip I'll give you is to save your double jump or your second jump for after you hook, though, because it'll give you a little bit more in-air control and you get some more height out of it. And yes, hooking onto Titans is really fun. It's a good idea most of the time. They don't see it coming. Sometimes they do. I got punched when I grappled a Titan. It was pretty brutal. And hooking pilots is also really fun, but very difficult to do. But when you do it, you can get a glorious melee execution kill. Another thing the team seems to have taken community feedback about is content. The number one criticism for Titanfall 1 was a lack of content. We had like 7 guns, I think, and no camos, no skins, no unlocks, no reason to prestige or anything like that. Right off the bat in this game, I could tell there was a ton more stuff. Now, we had a limited preview, so we couldn't do and see everything, but pilots now have abilities that they choose, and they also have different types of grenades that they choose, and they have plenty of abilities and plenty of grenades, so there's no shortage of both of them. Huge variety here. They're kind of like perks in a way, your grenades and your abilities, because they're both so huge. And you also choose 2 guns with loads of attachments on each one. That's going to be the anti-Titan weapon and your primary weapon. Your primary weapon can have an optical sight and 2 attachments, and your anti-Titan weapon, I think, can just have 2 attachments in general. And mostly the abilities here are what makes the biggest difference. These abilities make a huge difference on how you play the game. I think the best grip ability is the grappling hook because it gives you extra mobility around the map. I think hands down that one just wins for me because I like being fast, I like swinging, I like being able to pull toward my enemies and stuff like that. It is incredibly effective. There is another ability that they let us use on the sniper class where you clone yourself, and your clone kind of walks straight forward. It looks exactly like you. It moves, it shows up, it has your name when you scan over it. So the idea there is that you can distract people. I also made my clone stand still in like sniper perches and watch the enemy sniper shoot the clone, and then I could pick them off. And we have one called the Sonic Spike. I wasn't such a big fan of this one. This one didn't really float my boat so much, but it's kind of like a pulse grenade that you show, and it just pulses once so you can see if there's enemies behind the walls. I didn't find that one to be as effective, but there was a massive difference between playing clone and gravity spike. They added a new class of weapons to the game, aside from your regular ones, energy weapons, mind you, and the one that we got to use was a energy weapon submachine gun. It had no ammo, it didn't reload, but it could overheat if you weren't careful. And what was interesting about the energy weapons is that they were not hit-scan weapons. They lobbed out projectiles, so you had to kind of lead your shot. It did pretty nasty damage, but it was useless at long range, not because it was inaccurate, but because you're shooting slow range, like slower projectiles like Battlefield or something like that. It could be pretty nasty up close because for some reason it fired faster in hip fire than it did ADS, so you could kind of use it like a shotgun. About 5 minutes into the video here, we're finally talking about the Titans in Titanfall. They have been revamped as well. I noticed that Titans appear to have significantly more health, at least the ones that we used. We used a medium and a heavy class Titan, and they just seem to take a lot more damage than they used to, and they have a lot less boosting ability. The heavy Titan had no boost, and my medium class Titan only had one boost available to me, so it wasn't even that fast. So the boosting that you could do in Titanfall 1 appears to be mostly gone. The Titans come with 2 perks we were not able to play with, and unfortunately they weren't very well explained. But they come with 2 perks that you can use, just whatever it is. I think one of them was like fast reload and the other one was like a little more shield or something. They also come with 3 abilities this time around. So you put an ability on each arm and then a triangle ability, which is usually a deployable of some kind. In this case, we had gas that we could deploy or an auto turret that I could throw down to kill infantry. And they also come with an ultimate. So that is 5 different types of customizations on your Titan, along with the multiple Titan classes, which we were promised there will be numerous of. The 2 Titans we got to use was what I would call the basic assault rifle type Titan, because he basically just had a normal assault rifle. A lot of the stuff from Titanfall 1, catch the bullets and that sort of thing. He could deploy auto turrets on the ground that would only target infantry, but he did have this big, nasty Iron Man level chest laser. That was your ultimate or your core ability. You could just cook people with it, blast them right off the map. Then we got to play a more unique Titan. It was called the Incinerator. It was a fire-based Titan, and it was kind of an anti-infantry Titan. It was very heavy, very tanky. Its primary weapon would only fire once before reloading, and yes, it would damage other Titans. You could kill them, but it just murdered infantry. It would shoot napalm. It would slam the ground like the Tauren and Dota and just split the ground and make a big wave of fire. The ultimate was a area of denial wave of fire forward. And one of the stranger abilities that it had was that it could like open up its core and melt bullets as they come in instead of catching them and throwing them back. And my personal favorite was that you could lob these little gas canisters all over the map, and I thought it was poison gas, but what it does is it just like pumps like methane or butane or something in the air, and then you shoot it with any of your other fire abilities and it just blows up everything in a whole area. It seems to basically be designed for you to throw those down and just say, hey infantry, you probably shouldn't walk here because I'm going to insta-kill you if you do. You can still do autopilot with the Titans and defend modes. There was a lot of that, and we're going to talk about that in the criticism section. Of note, pilot anti-Titan weapons are weaker. They are significantly weaker. As a pilot, you can't hurt the Titans nearly as much as you used to, and rodeoing them is now not always the best of ideas. It does sort of a set action against them, so the first time you rodeo a Titan, you steal a battery from them, which drains a lot of their shield. Then the second time you rodeo a Titan, you'll throw a grenade in their core, and then the third time you'll throw a grenade in the core. And each time it's an automatic, like you jump on, you do this, and then you jump straight off. You don't get to stay and ride and shoot like you used to. Of note, it's kind of cool though, if you steal the battery, you actually put the battery in your pocket as a usable item, and then if you jump onto the back of a teammate and ride them, you can give them the battery to give them more health and heal them, or give them like an over health or overcharge, which is kind of neat, and it adds an incentive for you to actually ride on friendly Titans. Also, they announced that there will be free DLC after purchase, or I think all DLC, all maps and modes and Titans and stuff like that are going to be free after purchase. But now let's talk about the bad things, because the game was not perfect. There were definitely some issues with this game, and I want to talk about those right now. The first issue I noticed immediately was that it's still full of those stupid AI that run all over the map. I do not know why the Titanfall team fixed all these other issues but decided to bring those AI back, but they did. It's just the little guys, the little grunts and the specters and everything, and the auto and heavy turrets, they're all over the map. It's completely chaotic. It's a big mess. And unfortunately, the demo mode that we played, the mode that they decided to show off was, I forget the name of it, but it was basically kill the AI in this point contest. So you had 2 points, A and B, they were neutral points, and neutral AI would drop ship in that were hostile to both factions, both teams. And the only way to score points was to kill the grunts and specters in these hot zones. So you weren't actually being rewarded for killing pilots or Titans, you were being rewarded for farming the AI, and that wasn't very fun for me. I don't know, but you get like random bounties for killing enemy Titans, once they had Titans called in, but there were no rewards for killing pilots. I know they're going to have different modes, but that one for me was just no fun. I was like, why show off this mode? It doesn't make any sense. Pilots are more distinct than they used to be. They have a very clear trail behind them. There's a lot more pilot body types. They're very animated. They don't blend in with the grunts as much as they used to, but they do still blend in with the grunts. That still does exist. Not as bad as it used to, but it does still happen, and there's just so much moving. I'm just like I'm used to playing multiplayer maps where I'm hunting things that are moving, and the grunts and specters and stuff are moving, and I'm like, oh, never mind, that's not a pilot. So that's kind of lame on that front. The decrease in mobility made me sad. I know a lot of people wanted this. A lot of people hated the bounce house that was Titanfall 1. I know a lot of people were very unsatisfied with the parkour. There goes my phone. I'm doing a very professional commentary here at E3. Personally, I love the bounce house. I love the speed. I love the action. The fact that they slowed it down kind of miffed me a little bit. I didn't want to play a boots on the ground Titanfall game. I wanted to basically fly in this game, but I think the community will be happy with it. One thing I did notice that scared me was that people, like after the first 30 minutes or so, they started leaving their Titans in autopilot mode and just went back to being a pilot and killing people, which is not a good sign. That was one of the primary issues with Titanfall 1, is that people thought the Titans were not as fun as they should be, or they were clustery, so they would just call in their Titan and leave it in autopilot mode, and then they would just run around and kill people as the pilot. Exact same thing happening here. They started doing that pretty frequently. I fought a lot of autopilot Titans near the end of the night, which kind of scares me. I used mine a lot, but the fact that people don't seem to want to get into them kind of bothers me. And overall, I'm going to say the game felt a little bit overwhelming, what I was doing. There was a lot going on. It could just be the event. It could be what I was trying to take in. But in Titanfall 2, there is like a lot of going on. There's a whole war going on the ground with your grunts and minions and auto turrets and stuff. The amount of perks and abilities that the Titans can have, and the amount of perks and abilities that the different people can have, add almost too much into this game. It's completely chaotic from my point of view. Maybe that's me being an old person and not adapting, or maybe I didn't have enough time to get used to it, but it wasn't quite as fast and as intuitive as the original. Guys, that is all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.